you're starting with a simple idea, but you put an extraordinary effort. At the end, you still have the extraordinary things.
Hai Ninh Nguyen, famous in Vietnam because you founded Coffee House, which is a coffee house chain. Your startup is M-Village. M-Village is co-living space. Now you have your own hotels. Everything looks like huge success, from the intern to a managerial position. Why are you so successful?
As an entrepreneur, you should have the optimistic, because when you're optimistic, you see the opportunity.
In one of your interviews before, you said it's about happiness and it's about first making people happy to find happiness yourself.
I believe that the happiness will be double and the sadness will be gone by half if you can say.
Has your management or your leadership style changed over the last 10 years?
It's never about the money. It's all about the people. It's about how we make the impact for the others. Bad general, talking about strategy. Good general, talking about logistics.
Welcome to this new edition of the interview series Doc and Talk. This time we are in the center of Saigon. As you can see in the back, you see the famous opera house. I don't think you can be more central than that in Ho Chi Minh City. I'm very happy to have with us today Hai Ninh Nguyen, or the other way around if you do it in Vietnamese, Nguyen Hai Ninh.
You can call me Ninh.
Ninh, that's the best, easier for me. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you for being with us today. Thank you for accepting to do this interview. You are famous in Vietnam because you founded the Coffee House, which is a coffee house chain. So that's what you're famous for. You're also became the face for a very successful, hardworking Vietnamese youth. And that's what you're famous for. But then you migrated to another venture. You stepped down as the CEO of the Coffee House. Now your startup, or if it's still a startup, you're going to talk about that, is M-Village. M-Village is more into the co-living space. It's an accommodation service. So you bring together landlords with potential renters. It's a lifestyle. So you're doing that. Now you have your own hotels. In one of them, we're here today, M-Village Signature. Before my first question, maybe a little bit about your CV. You studied chemical engineering, food engineering at the University of Technology in Ho Chi Minh City, which is by accident one of KLU's strategic partners, but that's was not planned by accident. So you did that. If I understood it correctly, you did it a little bit to please your parents, was maybe not the thing you wanted really to do. We're also going to talk about that later. You did an MBA in the UK, and then you started your professional career as an intern at Pepsi, but also here quite quickly you became or got into a managerial position. Before you decided, okay, I'm going to stop this corporate career ladder and I'm going to become an entrepreneur, and you started the Coffee House. So my first question, because you're actually self-made, during your studies you worked as an interpreter, you worked as a server. Everything looks like perfect on your CV. It looks like very successful. I know you had some failures. We're talking about also that later, but everything looks like huge success, from the intern to a managerial position. The Coffee House, very famous and very popular amongst the young. So why are you so successful? What is the traits, characteristics of you as a leader that made you so successful? What's driving you?
I think first of all, this have to depend on the definition of success, right? Uh-huh. So different people have different clear criteria to call it success. It's for me, I still see a lot of things I can do. So I don't think I really succeed yet. Yes, if in 10 marks, I think that I just have 1 or 2 steps. So a lot of steps, because I'm still very young, right? First of all, I think that I'm very lucky. I was born at the right time. Yes, I was born in the peaceful time growing up and have a chance to when the economy is open, have a chance to go abroad to see things and come back to Vietnam and see if a lot of things can be done. If you understand Vietnamese enough, you see that actually we just really open for the last 20 years. The US just lifted the embargo in 1994, but not until the 2000 when we really have the open the economy. So with that 20 years of growing, so you can see Vietnam have a lot of opportunity. I just see one of the opportunity I can be done. It is yes, it's very simple. Starting is with a basic thing that I think that most of the Vietnamese people want is opening coffee. Yes, and it's actually when I starting, I didn't have any idea about how big it is. I just starting very small, very humble and small, and just with the idea of creating the place for the small community where people can have a good cup of coffee in the morning, have people knows by name, and lucky that that idea, that concept got accepted by the market at that time.
Okay, so you're saying you were lucky. I think you're very humble here. But before we go into that, maybe you could explain a little bit more about the coffee culture in Vietnam, because in Europe you rarely know that coffee. I mean, you would rarely associate coffee with Vietnam, but it's a very important. It's an important concept in Vietnam. So maybe also give me advice what I should do when I have coffee, because when I get coffee in Vietnam, well, I'm a coffee drinker, but I always very boring. I always get a hot Americano or a hot filter coffee. Is that weird in Vietnam, or should I do that something differently? But please explain just a little bit about the coffee culture.
So you should know that Vietnam is the second biggest coffee exporting in the world. And actually the coffee, we have a very long history to drinking the coffee, but in a different way. Yes. If you ask me what coffee you should order, I think that you should stay with the Americano, because Vietnamese coffee is really strong. We love the strong taste of the coffee. Just like the way that we have drinking, consuming coffee for the last 100 years. So it make me remember by the time I opened the coffee house when I was 26. Actually, that time, 1 year before that, Starbucks they come into Vietnam and they starting to introduce Vietnamese people with a different concept of coffee. You can easily, even before the Starbucks come in, you can easily find a coffee in every corner of the city. But just is in the traditional way, which is people sit in the pavement or the low chair, have a chit chat, and they just order a cup of cafe soda, which is coffee with the condensed milk, and that's all. But that's Starbucks. They come in, they bringing the concept of coffee experience, where coffee is become the place for the people, for the community to hang out. And suddenly I realized that Vietnamese people, we love that experience.
I mean, there was coffee at every corner of Ho Chi Minh City, Vietnam, and you nevertheless decide, okay, I'm gonna go into that market, which either can be called very courageous, because it was a crowded market space, right? Or naive. So what have you been naive? Have you been courageous? And is one or the other a trait, a characteristic, a leader or a successful manager, entrepreneur must have?
You can see it is a bloody market, a crowded market. A lot of thousand or million of people already do. But I see things is that the demand, a lot of people do means a lot of demand in the market. So maybe you can call this more optimistic or dreaming. Yes, right. So yes, I see that I'd rather I go to the market where the demand is ready. What I should do is I do it in a new way, more more innovative, or do it in a new way, offering the different kind of product for the curve, for the existing demand. You creating the demand, educating the market. As an entrepreneur, you should have the optimistic, because when you optimistic, you see the opportunity. If you just asking in the other way around, if you just be negative, of course you don't see any chance.
Yeah, makes totally sense. And I feel that I feel that you're a very optimistic, very positive person. Are there moments when Ninh is not so optimistic, not so positive? What makes you unhappy?
I think a lot of things can make it happy, right? Because life is hard. You can come across unexpected every day, and that's his life. Man. You live life as a roller coaster, make your life is much more interesting than you live a life just on the stable.
Yes.
Yes.
And if you have a bad day, if that happens, are you gonna tell your team, today I'm having a bad day, don't talk to me? Or are you more like, okay, I'm the strong one, leader, manager, does always need to be strong and happy and positive? So what's your way? You're telling your team?
I think first it has to depend on how bad it is, right?
Okay.
So if it's really bad, I think that I really believe that being the leader doesn't mean that you have to be strong every time. Because the moment you always act like strong, you create the self, you create a distancing between you and your people. Sometimes as a people, we know that we are vulnerable. So a lot of time you should show that you are worried. You should be vulnerable. And for me, that moment that I saw that I'm vulnerable, the team is more caring, make the team is more closing together. So it's make that you don't have to pretend. You just be yourself. And acceptance is very important because you cannot expect everything go easy. So it's okay to be vulnerable. Yes.
In one of your interviews before, you said it's about happiness and it's about first making people happy to find happiness yourself. I'm very interested in this making others happy in order to find happiness yourself within the business concept. What's happiness to you?
As I remember, when I was during my childhood, right? I think that I define happiness much different than now. So I live in the family where my father is the soldier. He have to defend the nation. So during my childhood, the time I can see my father's can count on the one hand. So I live with mothers most of the time. So my mother as a teacher at that time in Vietnam is very different, right? So the income as a teacher cannot have her to enough the money to feeding the family. So after the school time, she have to do the side job she go to the village to collecting a chicken egg from the villagers and try to sell them in the market. That jobs make her little income, help her to take care for the family. So because of that, so I always have to live in the home alone. So at that time, as I remember, the definition of happiness is very simple: have friends to play with, can go outside. And when we growing up, we demand for ourselves much more. And as I see now, it makes us always have to chasing the happiness. To me, happiness is sometimes it's all the time. It's the moment. A lot of the day you can see the happiness or also see the unhappiness at the same time. But for one thing for sure, I believe that happiness can be shared. I believe that the happiness will be double and the sadness will be gone by half if you can share. When you make the other happy, you will feel the same for you. So this is the meaning of delivering the happiness. So back in the business, we don't see our business last time is the business in the coffee, and that business of the co-living, the hospitality is the business of making the bed, cleaning the toilet. Mm-hmm. So we working in the business, we have the people, serving the people. We in the business of making the people happy. And by the way that we see that we are doing the job of making the people happy, we see our job is much more meaningful. And one thing for sure, when we share the happiness for our customer, we ourselves as staff and the team, we feel the same. It's really the way that really motivating, especially if you work in the big team. A lot of team members, they just do the same thing every day.
You're saying, okay, making the customer happy, definitely. But you're also trying always in your ventures and in your startups or in whatever you create to make the employees happy, your employees happy. You're saying that's it's right. Human-centric. Your businesses are human-centric. How do you keep this human-centrism centricity when your company grows more and more? Because it's easier if it's small. I think you even visited in the beginning, you visited all your coffee houses, I don't know, every week or regularly to keep up with your and to see how your employees are feeling. But obviously at some point you can't do that anymore. So is that also the reason why after a certain while, when it's too big, you stop and you create a new startup?
So yes, I think that there's a lot of reason for me to drop from the coffee business into that. But if you see if I see on my career, it's only about we creating the community where we have the staff serving the customer, we working in the people business, let's access, and I think that is to do that is have to starting from with the sincere caring, right? And you care about them as a human being. You really care about them because you want to make them better. You want to lift up, push them up. So a lot of our employees, they come to us very young. So what we passionate about is we can offer them a working environment where can they see themselves doing the meaningful things in the job every day. They can see if they learning the new things. Those people, when they're working with us, they believe that how's the beautiful of the delivering of the happiness, how's the beautiful of making the other people happy. Outside the society, I believe that they will do the same things, because I believe that in the core of the human-centric, like you said, we only want to be the genius people. We want to be the good people. We want to do the good thing for the others.
So you said it, your employees are very young. You're very young too.
Yes, thank you.
You started even younger. You have been acknowledged by Forbes as being one of the 30 under 30. So has your management or your leadership style changed over the last 10 years? Because you said when you started you were 25, right?
I starting with 23.
23, okay.
Yes, built my first million company is 26.
Yeah.
100 million when I was over 30, and started again when 34. And I'm right here right now, 37. Yes.
37. Well, great. You look very young.
After everything milestone, I just said that I don't see if it's never about the money. It's all about the people. It's about how we make the impact for the others. Actually, I'm not studying for a business school. I study for engineering. Just mean that I don't understand about business at the very beginning. I don't born to be the CEO. I learned to be the CEO, learned to be the founder, learned to be the leader, day by day, throughout all the events in life. So a lot of when the kid growing up, you see that they behave differently, and with the more experience, the more the painful lesson, I think that I also very much different with myself 10 years ago when I starting the coffee house, just 10 years ago. Back at that time, I think I'm more fearless, arrogant, because 10 years ago when it's 27, I make a lot of money at that time. So it's give you the sense of you can do everything. Everything I starting, it's only starting from the basic idea and try to build things up from that. So try to detail oriented as much as I can. Just like you mentioned, I visit all the store. Later on, when we growing up, I see that I still is a human. I still have a 24 hour and 8 hour I have to sleep. So a lot of limited. If I just do it by myself, so I see if I cannot grow, the business cannot grow. If we just do it by ourselves alone. So we need to do it through the people. So I learned the way that how to build a team, how to growing up the team member, how to dedicating and everything. I think it's, but I do not learn it through reading the book. I have to learn it throughout on the
trial and error. So you said there were some painful lessons. So can you talk about failure a little bit and about these painful lessons if you want to share one or two examples?
Actually, I started my first coffee shop when I was 23 without experience. just dropped out from the management trainee program, just dropped out from Pepsi. I still remember there was an afternoon, raining like today. We starting with the 5 co-founder, and then by that time we just have 2, 3 already. The business doesn't work, the coffee shop doesn't work, so they already quit. So that just one, me and one co-founder left. So after everything, we just have each of us. We just have 25 cents in my pocket, in our pocket, and 2 of us we just with 50 cent means around 10,000 in Vietnam dollars, just enough to buy a bowl of the noodle, not in the restaurant, in the street noodle, and we have to share the bowl. But at that time, I think I said really go to the bottom, but I don't see if it is failure because we don't give up at that time. Although we a lot of different things ahead, but we don't give up. So from that we build, we justify, we readjust the coffee, and we starting everything will be better, starting to be better after that day. But the moment I see my failure is when we build the coffee house, become the second biggest coffee chains in Vietnam. Nikkei also lists us as the fastest growing coffee business in Vietnam. And that is the time I facing the failure. So confident about it, what we can do. Yes, a lot of money in hands. We see we were very successful at that time in the coffee. So we just an idea, how about the tea? So yes, we come in, because we confident, because we have the successful, so we just open the tea business. And just 1 year later, we are facing that we have to drive up everything. We have to drive up a few $1 million with that idea. At that moment, I see the failure is a big hit on the confidence. So most of the time, I see the time that we say facing the failure is the time we see if ourselves can do everything. We see most of the time we may face easy to face the failure is the time that we have everything. Not is the time that we don't have anything. So because when we have everything, it's easy for you. You have $1 million, very easy for you to spend $1,000. But you have just $1,000, you spend every cent. It's very effective. So yes, and that's help us to. And I think that it's good it happened when we still very young. We learn it in the hard way.
So you're very resilient, because I don't think that everybody could be.
Most all the Vietnamese people are resilient.
Okay, where does that come from? From the history of Vietnam, or is it your personal?
Yes. First of all, this comes from the history of Vietnam. If you understand the history of Vietnam, every 100 years we have the war. Yes, with the neighborhood, with anyone. We are famous in the world. We defend a lot of big guys come into, but we still defend the country. So every 100 years, just a few generations, we still have the facing the war. The war means that you lose everything. You have to restart it again. But after those for thousands of years, we as a nation, we still find a way that we surviving. We survive all through the different time. So that helps us with our people. Resilience is something in the blood of the Vietnamese people, I think. Yes, to my case, that I think that I'm even more resilient because when I starting the things, I'm starting it with a very good intention. So when you're doing things with a good intention, it gives you the motivation to come across a difficulty time. I see the things that I'm doing, creating the business that making the people happy, it is very meaningful. So because it's meaningful, it gives more motivation for you to have, you want to do it, right? If it's more, you can say that it's more purposeful. It's because of that a lot of energy will come. It's a lot, and it have a lot of time. I think that if normally people will, it's just easy to walk away, to give up. But we choose to stay on, stay tuned, on through that's the different time.
Okay, so resilience is part of the Vietnamese culture.
Yes.
I had another question in the same respect. When you decided, or when you thought about leaving Pepsi and this potential career in the corporate multinational company, I read that you had a talk with your father, and you asked him, well, what do you think? And he said, well, go for it. I will even support you when you fail. And my question was, is that also part of the Vietnamese culture? You stick together, you say, or is that your father who is just a wonderful person helping you, supporting you? So that's first question. Second question, would you have done it would you have started this entrepreneurial career if your dad would have said, well, it's a very bad idea,
Yes.
stick with Pepsi?
Yes, I think that first of all, family caring is a culture of I think not just Vietnam, it's just for the Asian people. We tend to see more caring for, especially for the family. So yes, what I can tell is at the beginning is my parents, they don't accept that we go out drop from Pepsi and open a business because most of their time they see for different things happen. So they just want their child to have a stable life. Yes, they don't want me have to facing the difficulty of life at that time. So, and most of the pure parents, they want the same for their children. So at the very beginning, I don't think my parents are supporting the idea that giving up. Actually, yes, going to Pepsi is very hard. In my years, throughout the thousands of students, so they just accept 20 students to trying. It's not the intern, it's a management trainee program. Yeah, so when the global community come to the university to see the best of the student to put in there, they build the roadmap to you for you within 1 year you become become manager of MNC at the 24 years old. I think it's a dream of a lot of students. So I think that is very understandable for my parents when at the beginning they're very shocked. I think that we have a lot of conversation, and I think that it's lucky that we have wonderful parents. They try to listen, which is a lot of people they don't have listening and giving the supporting. So I still remember that my dad said that if you fail, you come here. Yes, we still have at least we can feed you. So actually, it gives you a lot of courage when you're starting, because you know that your back have people watching your back, and because you're starting from nothing to lose, right? Yes, starting with no burden. I think it's very lucky. So that's why I said that I'm very lucky. Yes.
Let's go into more the logistics and supply chain management part. As you know, Kühne Logistics University, this is our origin, this is our core. So I was just wondering, how important was the area, or is the area of logistics, supply chain management in your ventures, in the coffee house at M Village? What's your take on logistics and supply chain management?
There's two ways to build an extraordinary happen. The first way, you come with an idea that can change the world, like Google, Facebook, Apple. It is very different. I have to admit. The second way of doing the extraordinary thing is you starting with the humble idea, basic idea, and try to make it a better version every day, every single day. And after enough time and effort, I believe you can build the extraordinary things. It means that you're starting with a simple idea, but you put the extraordinary effort to make it better. So I think at the end, you still have the extraordinary things. So in my case, I see we choose the second way, because if you back end in Vietnam, we just open everywhere in Vietnam is opportunity, because not many people before you they do in the with the excellent version. So you can have a chance to do the better version of them. So why you don't starting with the simple things and make it become better. and it is very easy to starting. So I think that we come into the industry of the coffee industry, the hospitality is. Some people said that it's very heavy on operation. I see that is have changed to the it's the place of the quality of the execution. So the idea can be there. The idea can be not news. Yes, coffee and hospitality, the hotel, people open it for 100 years before you do, because the economy is changing, the social is changing, the customer is changing, the behavior. You can see the way that you do more innovative, offering the new type of product for the old market. So that is the much easier way, but it is require a lot of quality of execution. I prefer to starting the day with a small thing like hanging the picture, to clean the table, small thing, but 1,000 of small thing, then you have a wonderful things.
In supply chain management, like this.
About the supply chain, I have my dad. There's one time he said to me, in the world, bad general talking about strategy, good general talking about logistics.
Yeah, that's a good point. I'm using this one in building the coffee house. You had, like, I think, a sourcing problem of high quality coffee. So at that point, you decided you're gonna go into buying a coffee farm, if I'm right. So you decided, okay, I'm gonna go into a different kind of business in order to solve my supply chain issue.
To me, it's very natural. It's come very natural. So I growing in a very small province in the north where the people make a living by growing rice. So I know the agriculture. I know the life of the farmer. In my hometown, people they just making $2 or $3 per day for the income. It's very small penny, very small money, and the life is not easy. So he knows that how different if you working in the farming business. And the second thing is when you do the coffee house, our competitors at that time, I think it's another brand, they already have 200 stock. We have just one stock. It's no way that in 5 years we can become the market leader. So we said that if we cannot become the market leader, so let's become the trendsetter. So I think that back to the history of Vietnam growing the coffee, we see that we have a deep history of growing and expanding the coffee. So what about that? We come into farming. We come with talking to the farmer, introducing the new technology to have the quality to have more quality, to make the coffee more quality, and we can help them. We buy the coffee from them with a better price, help them live a better life. So hopefully they can stay at their hometown instead of going to the city to find another job. So we have to embracing the coffee culture of Vietnam. At the same time, we also have the better quality for the supply chains. So everything to me is very natural from my long understanding of how hard the different tier of the farmer, the business requirement and the alternative and the Vietnamese coffee culture.
So it's your experience connected to being lucky, connected to your studies. Okay. So what's next for you? Now, after you did the coffee house, now you're M Village. And you're very young, 37. So is there any dreams, plans?
I not worry about the future. So I think that I type person of try to do that the better version of myself every day. So I see the meaningful things in the current things we are doing, but however we also embrace the challenge. So in the future, I don't know. So if you ask me what is the next things that really I don't know. I still see a lot of things we can do in the current business. Just like I said, if we just see that we just very starting, a lot of things ahead we need to do. However, I see if later on anything can happen to me that if thing comes, I will accept them. And talking myself, it is one of the way that we live the lives much more interesting, going up and down through the roller coaster. Yes.
If you had to give one advice to a young person, what would it be in terms of professional career? The one advice?
I think that I can have two advice.
Okay,
through my
even three if you want.
Yes, two advice through my yes experience of the first advice. I think that we should find the passionate in everything we do. If we have to choosing to doing something, choosing the thing that you have passion, because it's very simple. Life is hard. A lot of time you are facing the obstacle, and a lot of time you want to give up. So the only reason give you the motivation and the only reason for you to overcome the obstacle at that time is you really passionate. And when you have the passionate, you throw your mind, your heart, your time, everything you have into it. When you do it, I think that the chance of success will be much easier. Yes, it is the follow your passion. I think it's not new, but really it's very, very true for me. The second advice, I think that in everything you do, try to lift the pupils up. The greatest thing doesn't come from position, the success doesn't come from and the success don't come from position. This will come from how you help them creating the future. Help them to lift the pupils up, and that when you're doing that, a lot of things will happen to you. You will feel it's more meaningful in the way that you do, because the way that I see it, that life is not just about getting and having, it's all about giving and being.
I think that was a perfect final word. Thank you very much, Nin, for this interview. It was very inspiring, and I know you have not a lot of time, especially at the moment.
Yes, thank you.
Because you just became father.
Yes.
And so you're not getting a lot of sleep. So thanks all the more for giving us this interview.
Yes, thank you. Yes.
Thanks for watching or listening, and see you next time, either here again in Ho Chi Minh City or in Hamburg.